It's time to head to camp. Camp Crystal Lake, that is. We're celebrating this Friday the 13th with a 2-4. Because we're talking movies. We're talking 2 Friday the 13th. The original, written by Victor Miller and directed by Sean S. Cunningham. And the 2009 Friday the 13th, written by Damian Shannon, Mark Swift, and directed by Mark Nespo. I'm a messenger of God. You're doomed if you stay here.
You see, Jason was my son, and today is his birthday. I mean, she didn't do a leprechaun lap, but whatever.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? As Scott said, we're going to be going back in the day and doing some Friday the 13th action because it's Friday the 13th this Friday. We're going to be talking about the classic slasher film that started a franchise, the 1980 Friday the 13th and the 2009 remake. And since Scott is our resident expert on families and horror movies, take it away.
Okay. Well, in terms of the series themselves, these two are the highest grossing films of the franchise, of the standalone Jason films. The first one, modest budget of $550,000, which it grossed $59.75 million. And then the remake was $19 million, which grossed $92 million in change.
Hold on. Go back to that. How much did the original? Because I have the same number as you, 500,000 for production budget. And what do you have for
I have just under 60 million in gross.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep. Sorry. For some reason I heard something different there. And I actually, just specifically for this movie, because we were comparing them, I calculated those in like kind of today's dollars. So basically the original Friday the 13th was made for $1.7 million. And it basically grossed $200 million. So
wow.
Anyway, go ahead. You were saying about the production budget for the 2009 remake?
I got 19 million with a gross of 92 million.
Sounds good to me.
Change. Now, are you a Friday the 13th guy? I know we discussed this a little bit on the Halloween episode we did, but are you?
So, I mean, I haven't watched these films in a long time. I mean, I went and watched, obviously, I watched it for the show. I remember being younger, and I've seen all the way up, I think, to like 6 or 7 or 8, whenever he goes to New York, that one. New York. I mean, it's, as a film guy, I prefer Halloween, and I also prefer the original John Carpenter Halloween. I don't really like a lot of the remakes, and like you said, we talked about it on our Halloween show. So I'm gonna say no. I guess the simple answer is no. I'm not. But I'm not a horror movie guy either, right? So too scary.
That's super fucking long-winded. That's usually my like stick in this fucking podcast. And now you're trying to steal that. At one point, you're just gonna have a split screen of you talking to yourself in different voices, right?
I
mean, stealing all my shtick.
Now that you say that, absolutely. So again, I'm guessing, are you a Friday the 13th guy? I know you're a Michael Myers.
It's my second. Yeah, Halloween's my first. Jason's my second.
Where's Krueger coming there?
He's fourth. For me.
Who's your third then?
Chucky.
Ah, interesting.
Out of the slashers, right? Like if I'm going just horror franchises, it'll be Halloween, then Evil Dead would be 2.
Oh, okay.
But slashers, Chucky over Nightmare. But enough about that. I think in terms of just the films in general, I'm going to get this out of the way. The real star of this film, this franchise, is Harry Mandolfini, who wrote the fucking score.
Yeah, man. Who does a better score? Do you think the classic Halloween soundtrack, or not even the soundtrack, but you know that classic Halloween, it's the intro?
The intro, like the
yes. Yeah, I'm not gonna try and do it because I always fuck it up when I try and do it. That,
yeah,
or the like Which one do you
mean
think is
kill,
mama? Yeah.
This one, because you can say it, right? It's the same thing like Jaws, right? Like you can just do it, right?
Just do it.
But yeah, like I think he has the better score, but I think also like researching it, like this guy's been doing films for decades and he is yet to win.
You're talking about this for the scores.
Yeah. Like Harry Mandafini, I apologize if I say his name incorrectly, but yeah, he's been doing films for decades. He's 77, still working, and he still hasn't won an Oscar.
I mean, do you have any of what? Do you have any on your list that maybe should have, like big Oscar?
Well, I think this film. I think the original.
This film was never gonna get. It was never going to the fucking Oscars, man. Like you got to have the hype to get there, right?
I think for score. I think four
score, eh?
And 70 fucking years ago, but I think just score alone, right? And like you're saying, I think there's a stigma on horror films. Like the work he put into this movie is the same as any other person puts in a film. It doesn't differ. Just because it's a different genre doesn't mean the work's not there.
And, right? And I don't disagree with you. And
you at the beginning you said this movie would never go to the the score wouldn't go
I'm not
to the
saying
Oscar.
that's the right idea for the Academy to take that position, but I'm saying in 1980 they weren't looking at a fucking independently produced and I mean as far as it's like actual critic rating, it's got a fucking 64 from critics and a 66 from the audience. Like it's not really known for being like a fantastic piece of fucking cinema. The Oscars were never going to see it. Therefore, they were never going to hear it, right? So I don't disagree with you. I think that, you know, there's all kinds of things, there's special effects, there's editing and stuff that are done on other films that are amazing that should be Oscar worthy, but because they're in a slasher film or maybe a rom-com or whatever, they don't get the attention from the Academy. So, I mean, the Academy's a bunch of big bullies anyway. So, you know what I mean?
Preach.
Okay.
Preach.
How do you want to do this then? How do you do you want to go back and forth? Do you want to? I mean, I'm going to let you kind of lead the show, man, because like you're the guy.
One, I think personally, the way you've presented this and on our social media with this episode, you've gone in and put it as a comparison, a versus a 1 versus 1, right? Like it's Mortal Kombat. 2 people enter, 1's going to leave.
That's right.
Round 1, fight.
Jason,
in reality, I don't think it should. I think what the original is a classic, but I think what the 2009 did, and I'm gonna give the writers Damian Shannon and Mark Swift massive kudos for. It was literally like the way I see it is just if you put these 2 films together in a drive-in as like a double feature, it works seamlessly perfect together.
Sure. Well, I mean, they pick up, basically this is like what they did with Halloween, where they went back and they were just like, okay, we're going to get rid of all this other canon and we're going to pick it up right here. Boom. The end of 1 is now the beginning of this film. And that's what they did with this, right?
Well, they did this before Halloween, but yeah.
No, but I mean, people who have recently seen what they're doing, like McBride and them are doing with Halloween, how they just picked it up from the John Carpenter, boom, 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 and they just threw out all the other canon of like Halloween 2 and you know what's Halloween 3, the witches, Age of the Witch,
season of the witch
or whatever, Age of Aquarius.
Age of Aquarius. Yeah, and I think that's the thing that, because the 2009 was marketed and packaged as it's just a remake, right? Like technically nothing else matters.
Which is funny because it was a weird marketing ploy because it's not a remake. It's not a remake the way the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a remake of the original.
Yes, like what they did with this film, with this film, the 2009 one, all they did was take kind of the best hits of the Jason side, so part 2 to Jason X doesn't really count, or Final Friday. So till New York, they just took that and compressed it all into technically, here's your little story beats, which in reality makes 100% more sense than, you know, the last jump scare in the original where it's baby Jason, kid Jason coming out of the water. So he hasn't aged in 20 something years.
Okay.
And then the next movie, he's a grown man.
Because I found some of this stuff. I don't want to use the word confusing. It was just, I didn't think it was written right. I want you to tell me. So in Friday the 13th in 2009 film, okay,
Mm-hmm.
is Jason an undead creature? Like, is he a supernatural
No,
creature?
he's alive.
Okay.
He's
So let me walk this back again. So why did his mother kill all the camp counselors then if he didn't drown?
Why did he kill him?
Why did she?
Remember
in Friday the 13th,
because
they were making love. They weren't, he couldn't swim. That's their whole fucking reason.
they were supposed to be watching him.
So how could Jason watch his mother get decapitated if he's fucking dead, if he's alive? So what, you can't have both of those.
And this morning he woke up dead.
How the hell do you wake up dead?
Because you're alive when you go to sleep.
Wait, just tell me you can
So you
help
telling me that you can go to bed dead and wake up alive?
You can't go to bed dead, man. That shit would be redundant.
I just blew your fucking mind.
You're talking about in the 2000, just to make sure you're talking about in the 2009.
Yes.
So what the
2009, they basically reshoot, and I've got an issue with that, but we'll talk about that in a sec. They basically reshoot kind of like the final chase scene with Mrs. Boyers. They do all that. Chicky gets her fucking head cut off, and then you see that Jason's there, and it's like, so what, was he fucking hiding for his mom the whole time? Like, what is going on here?
Well,
riddle me that, Batman.
Well, first, in terms of continuity and making sense, this is the one series that really never really goes back to
I'm asking
whatever
you
the other one finished.
Pretty fucking straight question here.
And I'm telling you, if you watch the original and then go to this one, it makes 100% more sense that, okay, she kills these people because, let's say, she thinks he drowned.
Think about that. I want before you move on. So you've got children, okay?
Yes.
It's one of your, let's not say one of your children, but as a parent, you'll understand this idea. Your child's in the water. So either A, she didn't get the body back. It's only a fucking lake. Okay, so the body's gone, and he didn't come back to her. Like that makes zero sense.
Get the fuck out of here.
Like that makes no sense.
Maybe he had some asphyxiation and he lost his memory. He was amnesic, and what got him going was weed. That's why he decided in 2009 to be a weed farmer.
So that means he survives as a child, not with his mom, but then shows up just in time to watch his mom get her head chopped off, and then knows that it's his mom. That's why he's so upset, and the whole locket. And I mean, I like what they tried to do. I liked how they tried to make that continuity. I just wish they would have done a better job with it.
Well, if you think,
or just make him undead, and then we're good. It just solves that fucking plot problem. You know what I mean?
In the original franchise, not counting the 2009, in the original franchise, Jason doesn't become undead until part 5. He doesn't become the zombie Jason until part 5.
So in part 2, because that's the first time he shows up with the bag on his head.
Yes, he's a grown-ass man.
Where the fuck was he?
There's no explanation. He was a grown-ass man, and he just finds Alice, kills Alice, and then starts on the new campers.
Jesus, this is just like Michael Myers being able to find his way back to the hometown where he was before, even though he was in a different insane asylum, far away, or they just keep putting him in the same fucking insane asylum by the thing.
Oh my God, don't ever leave me.
Ever.
Good, because I'd find you.
See, but that's the thing. If you go from just the original to this one, it does make it more seamless. It kind of does make it, because at no point, because by them redubbing that the original vocals of Betsy Palmer
Yeah.
onto the new actors, and just saying that, you know, she thinks he drowned. You should have been watching him. Today was his birthday. And then, you know, she gets her head chopped off, and then he's just there and he grows that vendetta, right? And then it's 20 years later, this camp has never been open again.
Anyway. No, like it still does. That part still doesn't work. I get what you're trying to say. I actually want to talk about that scene because I had an issue with the filmmaking aspect of it. So I think it's fine to dub in her voice, but then don't show the fucking actor who is not her. Just use the dubbing, you know, always use POV, right? Blah, 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 blah. You never actually have to see the other actor because it was super jarring. And again, it's because I'm coming off of like one film directly into the next one. And I'm like, so there's Betsy Palmer, there's Betsy Palmer's voice, and there's fucking new actor. And I'm like, what? Just don't show the actor. That's an easy fix. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So,
Okay.
Anyway,
Go ahead.
so I want to talk a bit about the first one, the original. What's your basic takeaway on it? I mean, it's go ahead. I've got my opinion, you know what I mean? So
like for me as a slasher, I think it did well, right? Like this is, you know, this is the second degree of separation of Kevin Bacon. This is where it started.
yes.
All right. Well, he started in Animal House before this, but this is like where he started to start gaining some notoriety.
I think he even does some dancing in this, which is a prelude to Footloose.
Footloose, which was his breakout. But I think casting wise, they did well. Like researching it, they literally are just looking at like stage theater actors, unknowns that can act, and you know they can get them on the cheap too.
Well, and they really wanted them to look. They cared less about the acting, and they cared more about do they look. What is their chemistry together, and do they look like they would have been camp counselors? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, get it on the cheap. I mean, I think they tried to get Sally Field for the role that Betsy. No, not the role that Betsy Palmer played. Alice. And they were like, yeah, we can't fucking afford that shit. Like, she's like a solid fucking actor. We're not ever gonna get that. I mean, Betsy Palmer is the big actor in this, but like she was long past her like Hollywood prime. You know what I mean? Like she was in like Mr. Roberts and Queen Bee and The Tin Star. She's old enough that she dated James Dean back in the day. Because of like the work they were doing at the Actors Studio or whatever. Like she was a really attractive like Hollywood. I wouldn't say she was a starlet, but I mean she was definitely in like a lot of TV with like Gleason and stuff. And then there's this big chunk of time where she's not acting after the 60s or whatever. And you know the story of like how she came to be in this film, right?
I'll say it.
Basically, she needed the fucking money. Her car had broken down. And her daughter's like, hey, this Volkswagen's 10 grand. You should buy this car. And they had offered her $1,000 a day for 10 days. So she said, I should have wrote in the quote down, but she basically said, and I'm not paraphrasing this part, the script is shit. This is what this old lady said. She's like, this is a shit script, but $10,000 for 10 days in 1980, fucking let's rock and roll. And it actually, after the fact, she was very happy she was in it because like, it kind of like she's part of this extremely famous franchise now, right?
Oh, 100%. Like she's known, right? And one of the first female slashers. Would you say?
What do you mean first
like
female
being slasher? Because having like the horror, like the main villain being a female.
Yeah. Like that's actually, it was like a really interesting way to go about it doing it because you never see who it is, and you see men's boots and you see men's gloves when you do see them in the POV. And then to be like, bam, it's your mom, motherfucker.
Yeah, and especially somebody who had, especially in Hollywood, like some notoriety, some name value.
Yes.
Just coming in and being like, oh, there's no way it's her. Like my only issue with this film, and it's one I've always had, is how much after she comes out and we see her no longer in the POV, but you know, face to face, is how much she plays with Alice compares to everybody else.
Yes.
Right? Everybody else who's just like turns around, boom, axe to the head, turn around, boom, knife to the
arrow,
like,
bam, bam.
Yeah.
People having
everybody
sex,
was quick.
spear. You
Like,
know what I mean?
the last one, you're like, I'm gonna give you the fucking villain monologue of all villain
Oh,
monologues.
even when like right before she gets decapitated, right? And she's like slapping her and like fucking hitting her. It's like, come on, man, you just murdered like I don't know how many people by this point. So one of the things and I'm honestly like I'm not going to be too critical on this movie. It's not Halloween. Halloween's a better movie from a filmmaking standpoint, and I'm already I'm super biased, and that's my position. But when I was watching it, you know, I got a decent sized TV, but I tried to imagine 1980, that like dark theater, and like that the theater surround sound, right? So you hear that thing and you're like, oh, what's that or whatever, and like you could see the filmmakers doing stuff with like doors shutting and or lights flickering and stuff. And I'm like, I could see why young people going to see this fucking movie and, you know, trying to get hand jobs in the fucking movie theater are like, this was good. Like, I can see why this thing made $60 million. You made it on the cheap. It's got boobies. It's got fucking stabby. It gives you a chance to like get your hand job on. Like, I get it. I see why it works. Like, it doesn't need to stand up to the same stuff that we're doing now because remember, like, I mean, other than like things like Psycho or whatever, like John Carpenter's Halloween came out in 78 and fucking blew the doors off everything. I mean, they basically, when I looked up the numbers for Halloween, they made roughly the same money. I think Halloween cost like $375,000 and this cost $500,000. Like they're in the same ballparks, right? And they just like, it was a fucking money machine, man. Just like ching, ching, ching.
Yeah, like Halloween opened the door to the slasher, right?
Yes.
And this film was made 100% because they were like, we're gonna, you know, what's the word? Capitalize on this, right? Like the funny story is like the advertising for this movie came out in 1979.
They didn't
and
even have a script.
They had nothing. He just didn't know if the name Friday the 13th was taken by any other theaters or any other movies. So Sean S. Cunningham just put this advertising on, which is an amazing advertisement. If you see behind me, it's right there. It's just literally the name in block letters coming out of breaking a glass plane, and that's literally what the thing was.
I think he titled his movie like the scariest movie ever made or something like that. It's like the fucking thing's not even written, and he's like, but what great marketing. And I mean, I actually really like the poster, like with the silhouettes. I think it's kind of cool. It's got like a really kind of like artistic feel to it. So is there anything else you want to talk about with the original other than like it's a cult classic? It spawned a fucking what 12
franchise
of a bazillion movies. You know, I mean,
it's what got Paramount Pictures like this is the franchise that Paramount built, right?
Yes,
right, because these movies they're made cheap. Even every single sequel that was a diminishing return, it still diminished the return, but it was still a profit for the company, right? And it would just let them build and build. Like literally Paramount has Jason Voorhees and Tom Cruise. Those are the two that kept them. It's true though. Like you got Top Gun, you got Days of Thunder, you got The Firm, you got all the Mission Impossibles, right?
So it should be Tom Cruise versus Jason.
Yeah, who's
where you make it a buddy movie. Paramount Pictures.
Instead of Rain, Jason, it's Rain Man 2. Jason is Dustin Hoffman's character. He can't go around, instead of calling out numbers, he's just slashing people.
He's just killing people.
Tom Cruise is like, you can't just slash.
You can't do that, brother. I love you, but you just can't be so stabby.
Be like,
Rain
how do you know that? It's like, how do you know that was like premarital sex, man? Maybe it was like they're just in kinky shit. They're just role playing.
How did you like so moving on to Friday the 13th, 2009. How did you like it? What are your broad strokes on it?
I enjoyed it. Like I do enjoy it. It's not one of the films that I rewatch constantly, but even now, like rewatching it again, it's enjoyable. Like I 100% admire what they tried to do, right? Especially coming off of like the director coming off of the Texas Chainsaw remake and
Did you
then
like that?
getting this. I did with the Jordana Brewster one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did like it. Like obviously the original is iconic, right? And it's hard too because of the grindhouse feel the original has. You kind of feel like you're watching a snuff film.
Yes.
Where this one you can tell it's more stylized, it's more crisper, but even still,
So,
like
all three of those films, Daniel Pearl is the director of photography, the DOP. So the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Friday the 13th, 2009. I mean, the reason that Marcus Nispel ended up like working on it is because he works with Daniel Pearl. He worked with him on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And the only reason he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre is because he knew that Daniel Pearl was going to be the DOP, right? So like there's a line that goes through all three of those movies because it's the same cinematics, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like they did well. Like the one thing I will give this film, like the remake that they've done, is one of the most realistic sex scenes ever, in which it wasn't a one pump chump before he dies. Like that guy, like think about it. Like
wait, which one are we talking about? Which one are we talking about? Which sex
the
scene?
middle one. When he has the stupid line like, "Oh, you have perfect nipple placement."
I like Vicky and she likes me back. And she showed me her boobies and I like them too.
Oh, yeah. That chick's super
The blonde
hot.
guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like think about it. The sister got out of Jason's trap, ran across all the Camp Crystal Lake, across to where his house is, and that guy still didn't finish.
Boom.
And Jason was watching the whole time too, so he was kind of getting his off. But that was if you look at the first one, like even the Kevin Bacon one, right? Like it was like two pumps, and then she has to go. He rolls over, gets his little neck chopped.
Yeah, see that what is it? It's like an arrow through the bottom or something like that. It's so cheesy too, because you can really see the color difference between like the actual head and then like the fake body that's underneath it.
But if you think about it, like you look at it now and it's cheesy, but
no one had ever done
there
that.
was
no one had ever
not
done
only
that.
there was no VHS, like there was no, you're never like, you only watch these films in the theaters, right?
That's right.
And that was it. So you would see it and how quick it was, you'd be like, holy shit, that looked real, right? Now
100%.
with all this stuff where we can just stream this film, you notice the difference a lot. Same with any real film, but they even like called back to it in the 2009. Instead of the arrow going through the back, it was the screwdriver going through the front of the neck.
Yeah. So I mean, this is my quote for this film. Kind of encompasses this film very well, I think. So Christopher Borelli from the Chicago Tribune: an SUV of dramatically varied teens, sluts, nerdy sluts, one black guy, and other sluts. Visit Camp Crystal Lake. Pot is smoked, sex is had by all, also topless water skiing. End quote.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
That's this movie. That is 100% this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but this film did do something that, it kind of twisted the whole like horror movie rules, where like if you smoke, you had sex, drugs, you're gonna get killed.
Well, I mean, all those people did get killed.
Danielle Panamaker, the last person to die when they're escaping the tunnels, she was the good girl, right? She went to help. She never did any of the drugs or any of that stuff. Yeah. And then she got it, right?
She did get it.
That was kind of the...
But all the other people also got it.
Yes, they did. They did.
So, I mean, so first off, I think the opening, the pre-credit, that really long pre-credit murder is awesome. It's very well done. I mean,
Like that
seeing,
before the title card.
yeah. Seeing that girl get lit on fire in the sleeping bag, I was like, this is fucking savage, man. This is awesome. Really dark, great camera movement. It's awesome. It's really dynamic. The film actually falls apart though, kind of after that, I find. I mean, there was just little things that really got on my nerves. So, for example, when Clay, is talking about his missing sister, and like, I get it, Buddy's supposed to be a douchebag, but he's like so douchey he doesn't care that this guy's like looking for his missing sister. I think just there,
we're not
Go
going to
ahead.
be best friends. We're not going to be best friends. We're not going to hang out later.
yeah. So I think that if he would have just dealt with that scene better, like in the writing, right? Like you just like, yeah, okay, thanks, man, blah, blah, blah. Then when Buddy shows up at his house, then he can be like, yo, what the fuck are you doing here, man? Like, are you really even looking for your sister? Like, you actually can create a bit of like proper tension. As well, why the fuck does Jason have his sister? That was stupid. That entire, I get it. They had to put her in there so they could have like 30 minutes of fucking running around. Jason fucking murders everybody, but not her. Come on.
It's because she looked like his mom.
Oh, come on. That's fucking ridiculous. Just get rid of that whole fucking thing. Like, take that section right out.
That was literally a callback to number.
Oh no,
2?
I know, with the sweater and stuff like that. I get it. It just didn't work. It just didn't work for me. You know what I mean? Topless water skiing, that's slasher film. That's 101. You got to have some boobies. The sex scene, the boobies. You're always gonna have the boobies.
It only counts if you saw a nipple.
Otherwise, it's not bad. Like, it's not bad. I mean, I think I could have tightened up that script. They had tons of time. They had all the right fucking money. I just don't know why they didn't.
Yeah. One of the scenes I liked in the 2009 one was when Clay has the gun, right? But you could tell he's never actually used it whatsoever, and he's just like randomly shooting. And then even though that girl is dead behind there, because he put the guns in it, and then when he opens the door, you can see the 2 bullet holes in her back. He's like, that guy killed her.
So when I saw him with the gun, I was like hoping, because I think that would be really cool in a slasher, is like you start shooting erratically and fucking actually kill a bunch of people first, and then the fucking guy gets you. You know what I mean? Also, if your friend is gonna just like jump down to the shed to get some tools to fix a broken chair, is that the time that you smoke weed, pull your dick out, and start jerking off to like the Sears catalog?
You're goddamn right.
Again, if you want to do that, I think would have been a better way to make that happen is Buddy they go to fucking bang, he goes up and starts like being super creepy dude, right? And then like, while he's fucking spanking his monkey, and then the guys on the inside are like, are you jerking off to us fucking, or something like that. Like, that's way better, don't you think?
No, it's not. Because why would you make the only minority guy the pervert?
But jerking off to a magazine downstairs is not being a pervert.
Because he was super hot.
So maybe
sometimes
just don't get the minority character to do it. And there was 2 minority characters in that film. Anyway,
yes, which both got it.
So okay, let's kind of like, would you recommend the first one, and who to?
Yes, I would recommend the first one to everybody. I think everybody should watch the first,
because
Friday
it's
the
like
13th.
Classic slasher. It's part of an important piece
in terms of the like in your face nudity, like there's not a lot in the first one.
You mean not enough?
No, there's not a lot. It builds. It has the whole sequel rules following there, where a lot of them go crazy after. But this one, it is a tight, and in terms of the original, one of the scenes that I enjoyed the most was kind of the callback to Halloween, where she goes into the wooden pantry and locks the door, and then Betsy Palmer breaks that door down, kind of like
that made me think of The Shining, actually. They're like, here's Johnny.
Yeah, but that was later on.
Except that those films both came out in the same year. The Shining and the original Friday the 13th came out at the same time. So it can't be a callback. But when I saw it, when she sticks her head through that wooden door, I was like, fucking Jack Nicholson, man.
Did she stick her head? I thought she just looked through it and unlocked the door.
Maybe.
Kind of like Michael did through the closet.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. And what about Friday the 13th, 2009? Do you recommend it? And if so, to who?
I do recommend it. It is, you know, the highest grossing film in this franchise. And I think like I was saying before, what it does is, if you don't want to go through 9 fucking movies of Jason, you can just watch this one and pretty much gets the gist of, okay, how does he go from Ragman to Baghead to Hockey Mask and, you know, jump out of the water at the end.
Do you wish they would have continued? Because there was another script written that was supposed to come after the 2009 film, but it didn't go into production. So
yeah, it is the sequel's kind of, well, the continuation of Friday the 13th kind of in limbo right now, because I believe what I read as well is right now there is a property dispute between Sean S. Cunningham and the writer on who actually owns the copyright of this now, because of how long it's gone. Cunningham's gone to court saying that the writer was work for hire, so he has no copyright of the film, where the other guy says, I'm the one that came up with the idea, right?
You're talking Miller? He's like taking Miller to court? Yeah,
so they're kind of in limbo now, and I think that's one of the reasons why. But in terms of sequels, like the best one I've ever heard was actually a tweet from Stephen King back when COVID first started. Like he tweeted it June 15th, 2020. And this is what he tweeted. The best novel idea I never wrote and probably never will is I, Jason. The first person narrative of Jason Voorhees as his hell is faced. He is killed over and over again at Camp Crystal Lake. What a hellish existential fate. Just actually having a movie from Jason's perspective of literally, like, you know, going to this camp and constantly being killed over and over again, and how much that like fucking drives him crazy. I think that alone is fucking amazing.
And only Stephen King could be the guy that writes that movie. So I mean, I would say the first one, sure, watch it. I mean, there's some really cool POV style cinematography in it. I mean, but again, you could watch Halloween. They do it fucking better. The 2009, I mean, I could take it or leave it. I mean, if you want, watch the first fucking 20 minutes and then just turn the fucking movie off. So that's all I've got.
And that is our rant for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. You can also reach us and interact with us on social media at howdoyoulikethat1, or email us at howdoyoulikethatmovie@gmail.com.
But same with director Marcus Nispel. So he did Spice Up Your Life for the Spice Girls, Ready or Not by the Fugees, Spiderweb for No Doubt, and then like a bunch of stuff for CNC Music Factory, including Everybody Dance Now and like Gonna Make You Sweat and stuff. And I'm like, holy shit, those are like huge fucking music videos, especially in my time. And that's where these guys got their start, was like working on music videos. I just think it's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what would have been interesting?
What?
If you said this during the podcast.
Yeah, but now we'll just use it as a soundbite. Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.